We're going to be seed starting some herbs, some garlic chives, some thyme, Italian parsley, tarragon, and some dill. And we're going to do a couple extra of these, some Italian basil and some lemon basil. So, depending on how big the seed is, we can start with dill. It says planting depth 1/4 inch. So what I normally do for most of these is I'll usually just put them on top of the soil here. About 6 to 10, just to make sure I get some. Don't want to be waiting around on just a couple seeds. Just kind of spread them out just a little bit so they're not so bunched up. Lightly press them into the soil. Let me get in here a little closer. I got these here, these little seeds. Alright, there's one. A couple more. Just kind of barely just let them sit in there and lightly press them in so they get good seed to soil contact. That's very important. And bigger seeds like the dill, I might cover them up with some perlite. I'll probably cover most of these up with some perlite because I did last time and they seem to come up okay. I don't need that much dill, so I'm just going to do that one cell. Next I'll do be the tarragon. 1/4 inch deep it says. So usually what I do is I'll push this down in here to about what I think is 1/4 inch. Same goes with this. I'll just push this down in there about yay deep. And these seeds are very small. Might be hard to pick up on the camera. See how small these are? Little bitty. So, this is something you got to be careful with. And if you end up with more in here, it's not a big deal. So they come in these little plastic bags inside your envelope. So tap your finger, watch them fall in. I'd say about, you're probably going to end up with 20 or so in there, and that's perfectly fine with me. I still have quite a few of these seeds left, so that's my tarragon. I got them sitting in there. And what I'm going to do with those is lightly press them into the soil. And you got to be careful doing stuff like this, because if you pick your finger up and the seeds are stuck to your finger, just kind of make sure you brush your finger off right above there. Okay, so those are lightly pressed into the soil. Next, we can do Italian parsley. This isn't one of my favorites, but if I'm making dishes that call for it, I like to have this stuff out in the garden. Most of this stuff will get replanted in the raised bed. And it's more like a container. This says about 1/4 inch deep. So I usually press this down in and indent it into the cell just enough where I can see that it's down a lot, like close to 1/4 inch. And I'll try to lightly sprinkle these in. That's plenty. About 6 seeds is enough for me. That way I make sure that I do get some of these in there. And I'll lightly press them into the soil. I don't know if you can see them in there. Lightly press them in. Okay. We got those done. On to this one. We got some thyme. It says about 1/4 inch. So we'll probably do the same. And these seeds are tiny as well. So you want to press this in about a 1/4 inch. And I'm not going to label any of this stuff because once it comes up I'm going to know what it is. These are going to be in these cells for a little while, so I'm not too worried about it. So when you get these out, it's real easy to overseed these. Just kind of hold it and tap your finger, and there goes about 20 seeds. That's plenty. Seal this little Ziploc back up, put it back in there, and I have enough for next year as well. Then you want to lightly press this into the soil, get some good contact there. Sometimes you got to mix it in just a little bit. Next up on the list, I'm going to put some more garlic chives out. In case the ones I planted last year didn't take, they should come up this spring. I'm going to do some of these again. It says about a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to press this in again, about a 1/4 inch. I'm going to lightly sprinkle some of these in here. I usually do about 6 or so. That's enough for me to ensure that I got some coming. And that's plenty for me. And this year I'm planning on growing a lot more basil, hence that I got more cells left to plant. Most of these are going to end up being basil because I have plans for that. Okay, so I got all these planted. I might do another garlic chives one right here, just because to make it an even 6 of my basil. Try to do 3 of each that I got. Get some more garlic chives going. Then you want to lightly press it into the soil. Get some good seed to soil contact. Okay. Now for the basil. I'm going to start with the lemon basil. I did not grow this one last year, so hopefully this turns out. I'm hoping to get lots of basil this year. I might be interplanting it with my tomatoes and also in my raised beds as well. We'll see how it comes up. Hopefully I can get quite a few out of this. It says about a 1/4 inch planting depth. So I'm going to do this whole back side about a 1/4 inch deeper. Okay. And these seeds are pretty small as well. I'm going to lightly tap my hand. Try to get about 10 to 15 or so seeds in there. That's plenty. That's my lemon basil on the back side. And take a pencil or something and lightly scratch the surface. And I'm going to slightly press it in for good seed to soil contact. Got that done. Now, I grew this last year, the Italian basil. This worked out pretty good. I'm going to slightly, it says about a 1/4 inch deep, so I'm going to push these in like the others, just so I can kind of keep my depth about what I want. As long as it's close. You don't want it to be too deep or they won't be able to come up, or they'll come up later than the others. Just depends on your situation. So let's open these up, see what we got. And these are also in a tiny bag. So you want to put about, I'd say probably about 10 to 15 in here as well. That way you're not waiting around for these to come up if you're really wanting to plant them. Got those planted. Put these back in the bag. And I gotta say, growing all these herbs is nice when you're looking at these recipes, like Instapot recipes, for example. They call for a lot of herbs. And I like to have the fresh herbs. Gives it that much more of a great feeling when you're growing the vegetables in your garden, seasoning with your herbs in your garden, and preparing meals for your family. Roughly about 70% out of the garden. Very healthy. And the kids enjoy going to pick stuff for dinner as well, so it's a good activity. Gives them a good sense of where the food comes from. Okay, now that I got all these planted, I'm going to top them lightly with some perlite. If you're indoors, take it outdoors. Don't do what I'm doing. But I only need a little bit, so alright, that's enough of that. Don't want to bury them too deep. Just going to slightly spread it around just to kind of even it out. Okay. And perlite holds the water and the nutrients as well, and it also acts as a barrier for fungus gnats as well. Keeps them from laying more eggs in there or hatching and coming out. It's more like a volcanic glass, and fungus gnats don't like it. And that's what I like about it. Everything you can do to keep those fungus gnats out. Alright, so we got these planted. I'm not going to label them because when they come up I'll know what they are. So now, My next step is to water these in, and since I just potted them up, they're probably going to be a little stressed, so I haven't fertilized hardly any of these transplants with a 1-1-1 or less fertilizer, and you really want to use a water soluble fertilizer. And I use this 20-20-20, and I use a half a teaspoon per gallon of water, and it's a water soluble fertilizer, so it should be almost immediately available to these plants. Now I'm going to water all these in, and once their roots finally reach the bottom, then I can bottom water all these and I won't have no problems. If I try to bottom water these and it just doesn't happen to wick up all the way, it's just gonna cause problems. So initially I'm going to top water some of these the best that I can, and I'm going to fertilize them this time, and that should give them a running start to the new containers that they have. And I will slowly acclimate these to the outdoors. On my next video I'll talk about my acclimation schedule and more things about seed starting. So stay tuned and you'll learn some more stuff about my schedule and what I do for seed starting things and what varieties I'm seed starting and my techniques. And you can check out more videos if you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified for every new video that I come out with. Don't forget to like and share, subscribe. And this is Not a Pro Gardener here, and I'll see you again. Thanks.